Join me today as I show you how to make this really cute little bat-shaped cake for the dolls in your dollhouse to enjoy this Halloween. Alright, the first step in making our bat cake is to get our cake layer ready. You can use any clay you want to. This is a project you could even use scrap clay in. It doesn't matter because the cake is only for structure. We're never going to see this layer of clay. This that I have here is just some original Sculpey, which is really inexpensive. It's really soft. I don't use it for doing any fine detail, but I do like to have it on hand for either making things up as a prototype or for things like this where we'll never see it. So I've rolled it out on the thickest setting on my pasta machine, and I'm going to fold it over because I wanted about double that thickness. I have a 3/4 inch round cutter. I need 2 circles. We need 2, basically this is going to give us the equivalent of 2 9-inch round cake layers. You can make yours thinner or thicker depending on what you feel like doing. They don't even have to be done very smoothly. So one of these we're going to leave just the way it is and bake it the way it is. This one I am going to try to cut it in half. It's hard because normally I'd have my head right here. So I'm cutting this at a weird angle. I have a 1/4 inch cutter. This happens to be a Kemper cutter. You could use any cutter you have. And what we're going to do, we're going to start in somewhere near the middle, and we're going to just kind of do something like that. Now you could use a drinking straw for this. It doesn't matter. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get something that looks kind of like a bat wing. So in the center, they don't have to be perfect. And if you don't like the way they look, just roll the clay out and do it again. But I'm just going to go with these. I'm actually going to, so I'll kind of show you how this is going to look. It's going to go like this, and I'm going to turn this one over because these look too much the same there. That's what my bat cake will look like. So these pieces now need to be baked according to the package directions, and when they are baked and all the way cool, I'll come back and we'll go to our next step. All right, our clay is baked off, and now we're going to make a base. So I cut 2 pieces of paperboard, aka cereal box. They're both rectangles. They're the same size. They're 3 inches by 1.5 because that's what my cake will fit on very nicely. As you can see, that's going to be a good size. Want 2 layers. I'm going to use, you could use glue to put this together. I have this double-sided tape. I'm just going to use this. Line them up. Doesn't even have to be completely neat. And then I have a piece of aluminum foil. I'm going to get enough to go around this. And I did not bring a pair of scissors. Let's hope there's not a pair of scissors there. Okay. This is called not being prepared. Can I do what I'm going to tell you to never do, and that is use my clay blade. Aluminum foil is pretty easy to cut. It's really messy. Okay. Just put that side underneath. I'm going to use just another little bit of this double-sided tape. And by the way, if you're looking for cheap double-sided tape, check your local dollar store. I get this at Dollar Tree. It works just as well as the stuff that they sell in the office store for $3 or $4, and it's $1. And it's just as big a container. I was really surprised. A little bit more on. paper thing is going to drive me nuts though. I'm just going to glue to tape this down. You probably don't even need to. It's going to be a little more secure, a little less apt to move around on us. There. And I forgot to silence my phone. Oh well. Alright, so I've already got something on there. Awesome. Alright, so now this is almost cool, but I want it to cool all the way before I frost it. So I'm going to wait a little while till that's all the way cool. And then I'll come back and we'll move on to frosting our cake. Alright, so this is all dried. And by the way, in an effort to not cough my head off while I'm recording this part of the video, I have a cough drop, so hopefully it won't sound weird. So I am going to mount my cake pieces onto this jumbo craft stick. I'm just using the same double-sided tape that I used to make the base. I don't want to be sticking my fingers in this. I want to make sure I have a left wing and a right wing. There we go. Now, for frosting, we are using latex caulking. You find this at the hardware store. I love how it works for frosting of all types. But this is white. So, if this tube is not dried out, I'm going to put out way more than I need because this stuff is cheap and it's going to be next to impossible to mix the same color twice. So I have some acrylic paints in tubes. Now you could use acrylic craft paint. The problem with that is when we're trying to get a dark, rich color, sometimes it waters down our caulking quite a bit before we're done. I want chocolate frosting. I want a nice, rich, dark, chocolate-looking frosting. I'm using a burnt umber acrylic paint. These are just student-grade acrylic paints. I paid, I know, less than $10 for a set of 18 at the craft store. They were either on sale or I had a coupon. I think they were around $5 actually. They were really inexpensive. I'm going to pull out a little Payne's Gray also, because I'm not sure exactly how dark I can get it with the burnt umber. So I'm going to add some in, and I'm going to pull out, do I forgot to get anything to mix it with before I start it. I'll just use another craft stick. And we're just going to mix it together so we don't have any white streaks. And this caulking is meant to be painted, so it mixes with the paint just fine. It won't affect it. And that's too light, so I'm going to add more. The color in these tubes is a lot more concentrated and it's thicker than our craft paints that we use for other things. And if you don't think you're going to want all the colors in a set, just go to the craft store and buy a single tube. I do recommend, though, don't spend the money on artist quality paints for this. Student paints are just fine, and they're almost always a lot cheaper. I'm going to add some Payne's Gray because that's coming out just a little off color for me. And that may come out too blue, so I may have to add more brown. If you hear that weird noise in the background, that's my printer turning off. I think I'm going to have to replace my burnt umber tube of paint. Now, if you don't want to use this, you could obviously use transparent liquid Sculpey with mixed with polymer clay and make frosting that way and bake it. It's not an ideal color, but it will work, I think. Let's add just a little more. Actually, let's add a little bit of burnt sienna to this. Warm this color up a bit. Burnt sienna is more of a red brown. Like I said, this is why we can never match the same color twice, because there is no formula. Okay. It's not a perfect color, but it will work. So I'm going to get those craft sticks out of my way. I'm actually going to attempt to paint this with just a toothpick. Make sure I'm under camera. And we are going to, see if I can get this. It's another one of those things where I would normally have it right up to my face. And we'll probably have to neaten this up when we pull it off of the tape. That's okay. But I don't want to make a mess on my foil. So that's how we're going to paint this. I think I'll turn the camera off. I'll paint the other two pieces, and when this gets dry, I'll come back and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so it looks like we missed a few spots on the top, but I'll show you how to fix that, and we'll also make our frosting a little darker. So we're going to peel it off the tape. We're going to do our next step, is going to be to glue this down. And we've got a little bit of stuff sticking out, so hopefully I've got scissors. I can see my little tiny pair of scissors at the bottom of the drawer. Okay. Yeah, I missed quite a bit there. That's okay. There's something stuck to that. We're just going to trim this off. We got most of our coverage with our caulking. It gives a good texture of frosting. Alright, now our next step is to glue our cake onto our board. So I'm going to kind of set it out here and decide where I want it. Yeah, like that. And I'm going to double glue this if this is still good. Do I have glue here? Hopefully my Gorilla Glue Super Glue still has glue in it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put a drop of that right in the middle. I don't like to use just super glue because I find it to be quite brittle, but it will hold this immediately. This is dripping out. I just had enough of this glue come out of this to glue both pieces down. Oh, I got super glue on my finger. I think when I went to town this morning to get groceries, I should have gotten more super glue. Got a little too much glue on this, but that's okay. There we go. Just a little. There. Now, to cover up our, let's see, first let's get a Q-tip. And kind of mop up some of that extra glue. So we don't need all that. All right, now we've got our same burnt umber paint. I'm just going to put some out on my tray. And I've got a brush. And I may off camera go get a smaller brush and neaten up the edges here, but yeah, I like to do this by having the tinted caulking under there. Sometimes you can get by with just the tinted caulk. Sometimes you need to paint over it, but it does give such a wonderful frosting-like texture. Alright, so that's just about done. Let's see if I can do this and not have all my fingers in the way. Alright, so now that needs to dry. Oops, I missed a spot. When this is dry, I will double check that I've got it all coated. When it's dry, we'll put a face on our little bat cake, and it'll be all ready for the dolls to have a Halloween party. So I'll be back in a second. Now, all our paint is dry now, so now it's time to decorate our little bat. And I am using Scribbles 3D paints, like I always do when I'm doing things like this. I'm just going to show you one way to do it. You could definitely do other things. I'm going to do, now always start off on another surface in case there is an air bubble. I'm just going to outline the wings. And you can do this any way you want. I'm going to use a little white. I'm going to give him some little eyeballs. And then I'm going to put a little brown in the middle of the eyes. Let's see first. Wish I had water over here. That's not going to work. Trying to get the little, trying to flatten them out just a little bit, so that they aren't so pokey and so big. There. There. There is our little bat cake all ready for the dolls to enjoy in their Halloween party. I'll let the paint dry. Oh, let me get you closer so you can actually see him now a little better. There will be pictures on the blog post in addition to the picture at the beginning of the video. I will give the dimensions for the cutters I used and that kind of stuff on the blog post. Be sure and check that out. Be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. And come visit us on Facebook. The link to the Facebook fan page is in the video description, and we do a lot of fun stuff over there. I hope to see you there soon. I'll talk to you later. Bye.